Good day. This is Terry Difazio, and you're watching Soundcheck. With me, as always, is my partner in crime, the incredible Todd Pronto. And the reason we're here today is because our new executive producer for this show is Tracy. Mm-hmm. She tells us when we're going to be doing the show. So, and she even tells us what the show is going to be about. So without her direction, we would be more lost than we already are.
Yeah, we don't really have to do much planning.
No, we don't. We have to make it happen. I mean, we have to come up with the material, but she tells us what it is we're supposed to talk about. Then the rest is up to us.
Perfect.
Now, if you're watching Soundcheck, we're wondering why you're watching Soundcheck. But since you're here, you know, welcome to the show.
You might as well watch it.
Yeah, you're stuck here, and that's the way it is.
There's nothing else good on.
No.
It's all fake news except for this.
Yeah, fake news and reality shows that aren't real.
Fake reality.
I've got to tell you, I watch reruns of Law and Order on Wii television. Mm-hmm. I have never seen worse shows in my life.
Really?
The promos for these shows. I don't watch the shows. I watch the promos. The promos are like Braxton Family Values, Celebrity Marriage Boot Camp, Growing Up Hip Hop in Atlanta.
Hey,
and all it is a bunch of people yelling at each other and screaming at each other and tons of drama, and then everybody makes up in the end. And it's like, you know.
Until next week.
Yeah, can anybody throw a chair or something?
I know.
You know,
make it
into at least like professional wrestling or something. It's professional wrestling without the steroids.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyways, what are we talking about today?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I don't have any idea.
Okay, bye.
Well, like I said, our new executive producer for this show told us that we were going to be talking about Delain's new CD DVD that's coming out on October 27th.
Yep.
Right now it's not October 27th, but probably by the time you see this, it might be much closer.
Might be here the day before or something.
I'm not even sure. It depends on how fast that guy in the dungeon gets this thing edited, I guess.
Well, you should be seeing this in November.
He's an old goat, that's for sure. So anyways, you might be asking yourself, who is Delain?
Right?
Well, I'll tell you.
And what's October?
Yeah, what's October? I think it's the Halloween month or something like that.
That is true. Well,
Delain is a heavy rock band from the Netherlands. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this city. Zwolle. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that because I know I'll butcher it. So they began, oh gosh, I think it was about 2004 or 5 maybe. And they now tour, worldwide. How do I know about them? Several years ago when I went to see Nightwish, big surprise I have one of these on, right?
Yeah.
You guys never see me with these on, so.
I've never seen you wear one before.
Yeah.
You like Nightwish?
No, I love them. I absolutely love them.
There you go.
They were the opening band.
Yep.
So twice now I have seen Delain open for Nightwish. So I did a little research and I bought one of their CDs. And I said, oh, this band's pretty good. So I went and I saw them open for Nightwish up in Quebec City at La Capitale. And I liked them so much I went out and bought 3 more CDs.
Wow.
And then I think it was in 2016, I got their EP. And then I met their singer, Miss Charlotte Wessels, down in Tampa. She was walking around the town, a few hours before the show, and I recognized her off at a distance, so I got to stop and I got to speak to her for a few minutes. And one of the first questions she said was, "Did you get our new CD?" Of course I said, "Yeah, I did." And then they came out with another one, I think it was called Moonbathers, came out later.
Yep.
So now that they've come out with their 10th anniversary, it's a double CD, DVD, and Blu-ray. And for anybody who knows Todd, we have Blu-ray and then we have regular Ray.
Yes.
Or is it X-Ray?
X-Ray.
Okay.
And we have Ray Charles.
Blu-ray and X-Ray.
Yeah, Ray Charles, but that one you can't see much.
You can't see much. So they're coming out with this new 10th anniversary extravaganza. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert this. There is a 45-second trailer for this new DVD, and here it is. Want to see it again?
Sure.
So I've talked to you about this band before, and you're somewhat familiar with the band.
Yeah,
What is
absolutely.
what is your impression of Delain?
I like, of course, I listen to and I perform a very different type of music than they do. But I'm able to look at the technicality of what they do, and it's quite impressive. And what I like about it is there's a lot of, it's a very melodic group.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not so much just heavy guitars and rah rah rah, heavy guitars and rah rah rahs. It's there's actually some musicality to it that's pleasing, even though it's heavy, which is a cool thing to balance.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've always enjoyed.
A couple of the songs that they've done, I've actually been extremely impressed with the recording technique they use.
Yeah.
I don't know what they use for equipment. I have asked. They haven't told me.
No.
Other bands have told me.
It's a mystery.
Yeah. Other bands have told me. For example, Epica's management told me that they use Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Nightwish uses Pro Tools and Genelec speakers.
Mm-hmm.
But Delain's management didn't tell me what they use, so I don't really know. But I would imagine it's probably Pro Tools.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet that they use Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the symphony stuff that they do is with an actual symphony, right?
They don't use much of it.
They don't.
They're not like Nightwish or Epica. They use a little bit of it.
So they might actually use like Ableton Live or live strings or something just to cut down costs in the studio, because I can't imagine what it costs to bring in actual strings to a studio.
Yeah, I know Epica did that on their last CD. They brought in a whole bunch of them. Yeah.
Costs a couple cents.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Delain. I know the song that Delain does called "We Are the Others." They have a lot. They have a bunch of children singing in the background,
Yes.
and I don't know how they did that. They may have brought them in. Who knows?
Probably. You know, and then this day and age, you could really just bring a laptop to the school
Yeah.
and have the children sing there. That's actually something I'm thinking about doing for my next album. There's a song that I want a choir on, and I'm thinking about using the high school students and recording it right there.
Well, it would be difficult, but it's not impossible. I mean, that's what Thomas Holopainen did with Nightwish. He took his, basic tracks, took them off all over Europe, and got strings and singers and from all over Europe. Ended up. Were you going to end up with 600 tracks?
I don't think so. I think we're going to only do 300. I'd be surprised if we used 12. It's a pretty stripped down album. It's pretty much acoustic guitar, drums, bass, and a little bit of piano or electric guitar here and there.
Well, I think it's a great idea that you want to go to the high school and get a chorus or something like that. I think that's a great idea.
I think it would be fun. It'd be a good experience for the kids too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure they don't do a lot of recording. I know they certainly didn't when I was in school.
No, and it's just my opinion, but I think that they should do more of it.
Yeah.
I mean, how are the kids really going to know what they sound like if they don't hear it? And
That is true. Because everybody knows that you sound different. What you think you sound like in your head, when you hear yourself, I guess an answering machine was always a good way to explain that. Somebody would record their answering machine message and then play it back and say, "Oh, I don't sound like that."
yeah,
But you really do. You don't sound like you do in your head until you get used to hearing yourself. And then I guess you do. I'm not sure. I've I've heard my voice so much over the years working in radio that I'm used to what I sound like. But I would imagine that the kids would probably hear the playback and be like, I thought we were better than... No, I'm just kidding.
well, microphones always sound different anyway.
Yes.
Just to go back a couple of years, we recorded, what was that? It was down at Lake Region.
Mm-hmm.
We did their band and chorus concert.
Yes, yeah.
And when we played it back for them, their teacher, said it didn't sound anything like them. And I tried to explain to her that microphones set up in a certain way aren't going to sound the same as you standing right in front of them.
Right.
And microphones always sound different than your ears anyway, no matter how good they are. But it goes without saying, the more expensive the microphones,
Oh, yeah.
the better they're going to sound. But there's a limit.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's why a lot of engineers, and I'm sure Delain does this when they're recording a certain instrument. You're going to have the engineer in there, and they're going to try 5 or 6 different microphones.
Yeah.
Just to get the one that sounds right for that instrument, for that song, for that day. And sometimes it could be a different mic on the same exact instrument for a different song, just for a different sound.
Yeah.
It is amazing how much microphones do make a difference.
Yes, I noticed that when Nightwish was doing their last album, they had 3 or 4 microphones on their singer.
Yep.
Every song, and they had 4 tracks. And it was to see which one they liked the best, or to blend them all together with or without effects. You know,
Yeah.
they might have had a dry track, they might have had one with reverb, they might have had one with slap delay, they might have put them all together, who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they would have done. Chances are they were probably just looking for the microphone that sounded the best. And since their songs have so many changes to them, that might be why they did it. So she could just capture a performance and not have to do it 4 or 5 different times. They just have the different mics. And, when it hits to the chorus, let's use the Telefunken or something,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I remember those old U47s were incredible. I don't think they make those. They make the 87 now, don't they?
Yeah, they still make one, and it's ungodly expensive.
Oh yeah, it's only about $5,000 or $6,000.
Yeah, yeah,
Pocket change for us.
yeah.
Big pocket.
It's amazing. Well, you get a lot of people that have a laptop, and they get Audacity, which is a free program, which is a great free program, and
Yeah.
then they get a microphone, a USB microphone online for like $30 or $40, and they wonder why their recordings don't sound that good.
Mm-hmm.
It's never going to. You still have to have the equipment. The DAW, the program, doesn't make as much of a difference as the equipment that they're using. The preamps and the sound cards and the microphones all mean a lot more than what you're capturing it with. It's just zeros and ones, but got to have good zeros and good ones.
Yes. Well, the microphone that we have down in the studio down here is $100 USB, and it's passable.
Yeah, oh, sure.
It's
Yeah.
passable. Now,
Yeah.
if you took one of the other condenser mics and ran it into the board, and then ran it into our capturing program, totally different, you're going to get something that sounds far, far, far better, because that microphone's about $600.
Yeah, yeah. The USB microphones are great for podcasting and live streaming and demo. I use them for demos.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I want to just demo a song, I don't want to sit there and check a mic level on 2 different things and mic the guitar at the 12th fret and up by the 3rd fret and get a room mic and just pop a USB mic down on the table and sing it. It's going to sound better than your laptop microphone.
Yeah, but Todd's point should be taken here that if you're going to do it that way, at least get a decent USB mic.
Yeah. Oh, and they make them. Blue makes some really good ones.
Yes.
Telefunken makes some. Rode makes some. They're all making the USB mics now, which it's kind of neat because without the USB mic, you have to invest in this interface, which you should still do if you're going to do any serious recording. But if you're trying to do it on the cheap, spend a couple $100 on a USB mic, and learn some mic technique. That's the thing about it too, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mic technique is very important, and if you were to listen to some of Delain's songs, you'll hear a certain crispness that you don't hear with other songs. One of them is called Army of Dolls, and they have a drum part in the bridge that I have never heard drums sound this good before. Now, I've heard a lot of drum tracks. This is absolutely amazing, the drum track.
Yeah.
When I did my album, it was the same way. You can mic a snare drum in various spots and get a spot that sounds the best.
Mm-hmm.
I know, because I found a couple spots that weren't.
Yeah.
And then you say, oh boy, why did I do that? Why didn't I put the microphone over here? Because it sounded good on this song, but didn't sound good on this song.
Generally, the best place to mic drums is right where the drummer needs to hit it.
Mm-hmm.
So the drummers hate you for it, and I know you can attest. If you get that close mic right where you want it, it kind of ruins where they're coming. And then you ruin the performance, so you got to back the mic up. Because the performance is more important than the mic placement. But just as it would have it, right where that mic sounds the best is right where the drummer needs to be.
I found when I recorded my drums, I had it halfway between the top and bottom, as close to the drum as I could get it.
Mm-hmm.
because if I got tuned to the top, it sounded thuddy, and if I got underneath it, it sounded tinny.
Yep.
So I took it about halfway in between, right about where the air hole is.
Did you double mic it or?
At times I did, yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes I only had the luxury of one.
You didn't have 600 tracks back then.
No, I was stuck with 8, and even if I could have gone bigger, 24 was about your limit.
Yeah. 8's limiting, especially if you want to double mic these things, which they do with a lot of stuff. I'm sure on this album, all the guitar amps are double mic'd. I'm sure everything is double mic'd.
I really would like to. I mean, I am in touch with a woman by the name of Sharon Richardson, and that is one of their managers. I think, I'm not even actually sure, I think she used to work for the Music Factory out of London, England, and they've since changed to something else, and I'm not sure what it is, but she's sort of like in promotions. So when I ask her technical questions, she doesn't know.
All right.
So I may have to try to get in touch with somebody else to find out these things, because I think they've recorded some incredible stuff.
Yeah.
And the way they've recorded it is, to me, just as important as what you're recording. You can have a great song, and if you don't record it correctly, it'll sound like garbage.
Oh, yeah. There was so much of that. There still is to this day. I mean, recordings have gotten incredibly better, almost to a fault. Everything is so crisp and digital sounding now, but there's still the occasional, and I even see it too. One of my favorite artists is a guy named Jason Isbell, and his songs are great. And I haven't bought his newest record yet, but I'm going to. But the last one, I just feel like it wasn't recorded that well. Like when the band kicked in, it just stayed there. Like it didn't punch up or anything. And when you see him live, there's these huge dynamics. And I feel like the guy that engineered it and recorded it and produced it didn't really capture that. He kept everything very lo-fi. And maybe that was what they were going for.
That might have been.
You know.
And none of us really know what they're going for, because we're not involved in that part of production.
Right.
You might say, well, such and such recorded this album and it sounds crappy. That might have been what they were after. For example, one artist you like, Bob Dylan, "Rainy Day Women." That is a horrendous recording, but maybe that's what they wanted to get at the time.
I think it was, with all those people yelling. And
yeah. It just sounded like everybody was pretty wasted.
They did some stuff. One of my favorite albums of all time is Neil Young's Harvest Moon. And on like the first or second song, you can hear somebody trip over a mic stand in the song. And they just leave it in there.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the way it goes.
Nowadays, they go in and they get rid of every breath. Like, they isolate the vocal track. And so if the singer goes while they're not singing, they'll get rid of that. You never hear it in the mix anyway.
Yeah.
But they just clean up stuff so much. So it's always refreshing to put on a Neil Young record and hear somebody trip over a mic stand.
Maybe you should have that in your next album.
I'm thinking about it.
Okay, I'll do it. You give me an album credit.
Okay.
Tripping over microphone.
Tripping over mic. That actually would be a really funny nod to Neil Young to do something like that. I wonder how many people would get it. I might try that.
This band, Delain, began as a symphonic metal band with big ambitions. They were led by their keyboard player, I'm hoping I pronounce this correct, Martin Westerholt. Martin is spelled Martijn. That's the Netherlands for you. Martin Westerholt and the supreme vocal talents of Charlotte Wessels, the woman that I met, who was a very nice young lady, was very personable, and, she didn't have to stop and talk to us. Just ask, I had some friends who went to see Van Halen back in 1979 or so down in Springfield, Mass., and David Lee Roth didn't give him the time of day. They said, "Hey, Dave, how you doing?" He just basically flipped them off and kept walking.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. I mean, the reason you are in the position you are is because of the people that buy your albums and go see your shows. So it's pretty, Charlotte was probably more surprised that you recognized her than anything. Yeah,
because they weren't even the headlining band.
Right.
But I yelled to her, and she stopped, and then I had to yell again before she actually turned around.
Yeah.
But she was, like I said, very personable, and we'll show a picture of her here with me. She was
Yeah.
nice enough to stand there and let me get a picture with her.
That was nice. But yeah, she probably wasn't expecting. I know, me personally speaking, when I open for people, I hang out in the lobby before the show. And people, I mean, unless it's in this area, but if it's out of the area, like I was just in Maine a little while ago, nobody knew who I was. And we were talking and blah, blah, blah. And then this guy came up to me after and he said, "Oh, I didn't know you were the opening act." I was drinking a cup of coffee and talking with him at the lobby before. And I'm like, yeah, surprise.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of fun to do that.
Yep. So Delain debuted their first album, was called Lucidity, back in 2006. And I remember buying that CD sometime later after I met Miss Charlotte. Actually, I think I went out and bought it about a week later while I was still in Florida. They did a song called Frozen and See Me in Shadow. They have been, here in America, I don't believe that they actually headline. I've never known them to headline here. I know that when I saw them the last time in 2016, Nightwish went home that night. They left for Finland that night. But the other two bands, Delain and then Sonata Arctica, had about 6 more gigs to do. And I think Sonata Arctica was the headlining act, and I don't know why. I mean, they were good, but I didn't find them that good. I just thought Delain should have. And so anyways, they've been mostly a 5-piece band. And now this is ironical. That's a newspaper, by the way, the Ironical Chronicle.
Yes.
You can pick one up at your local store.
Yeah, usually it comes out on Wednesdays.
Do you know who sort of sponsored Delain to get them started? Was Marco Haitala of Nightwish.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he got their first album started, and he even sings on a couple of their songs.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
One of the songs that gets has gotten more airplay with him on it is called Sing to Me. So if you want to hear that one, you'll get a taste of Nightwish with it. And when I saw them the second time down in Florida, Marco actually came out and sang that song with them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. He comes marching out, and the place went nuts. Of course.
That's going to be exciting for them, too.
Yeah.
I always love it when the headliners come out before they're supposed to. Like we saw Peter Frampton, and it was his acoustic tour, and his son was opening for him. So everybody's just kind of sitting there, and they hadn't even dimmed the lights down or anything yet. And Frampton just walks out on stage, and he goes, "I'd like to introduce the opening act." And everybody's like, "What?" It was really cool, because you're like, what the hell? It's neat when they do that. I've seen the headliners come out and sit in on a guitar or something for a song with the openers every once in a while, and it's kind of neat. You kind of feel like you're getting a sneak peek, like you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah, I know. What was even funnier was the third from the last song that Nightwish was doing, who came out but three people from Delain and partied with them for a whole song.
That's pretty cool.
And who knows what was in those bottles.
Yeah.
But they came out and they partied for one song anyways.
That's
and
cool.
They ran around on stage, danced around a little bit, and then they went off. I mean, I thought that was pretty neat. Everybody really got into that.
Oh, I bet.
The other musicians, when the first time I saw Delain to the second time, they'd added another guitar player.
Yes.
And Todd knows more about this than I do, but she is a pistol. She's all of about probably 5 feet tall.
If that.
Her name is Meryl Bechtold, and you said that she plays a 7-string.
Yeah, she plays a 7-string. I can't remember now if it's. I want to say it's a Kramer guitar. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, 7 strings, which means the string before it is tuned down, probably to B, if I had to guess.
So it's below E.
Yeah, it's. You've got to, and then those bands too. They very well could tune down a half step. A lot of those bands do tune. They don't tune to standard 440. They tune a little bit below that, so that it's easier for the singer usually. So yeah, that could be way down. It's probably B. Yeah, it's probably B flat, if I had to guess. So and I really don't know. I've never played a 7-string guitar, but I'm sure that you have to rethink your whole way. But she flies on that thing.
Yeah,
she's a really good guitarist, and if you saw her, you wouldn't picture her doing that.
And
She
one of the
looks
videos
too nice to be in a metal band.
Yeah. I'm going to be playing one of their videos, Sucker Punch,
Yep.
off their newest album, and you'll get to see her. And it's really incredible to see this young lady. I think she's only 22 or 23. She's not very old. Thrashing away with the older ones. Not that Charlotte's very old. I think Charlotte's probably 30 by now. I think
Yeah.
when I met her, she was 28.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about older people, your 30s, you're getting up there.
Yeah, you're getting there.
So the rest of the band, Delain, they've matured. They've come out with, I don't even know how many albums, about 8 albums by now.
Mm-hmm.
Others in the band, like I mentioned, Merrill Bechtold, Timo Summers, Ruben Israel, and some guy named Otto, who I can't even pronounce his last name at all. I'm not even going to try. But this guy's name is just
Otto.
his Otto, and that's all I'm going to say because I can't pronounce it.
The school bus driver from The Simpsons' name is Otto.
Is that right? Probably the same guy.
Yeah, I think it is. I love that character. He's like this stoned out hippie that's always like one of my favorite quotes on from The Simpsons from him. Is they were talking about spelling and somebody's like, oh yeah, well spell AC/DC, and they said that's easy, AC/DC, and he goes, wrong man, you forgot the lightning bolt. I watch way too many Simpsons.
I think so.
There's a channel now on TV that pretty much plays nothing but The Simpsons.
No kidding.
I love that channel.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy stock in that channel.
Oh, okay.
I can't afford to. I mean, maybe 50 cents worth of stock.
No Bonds?
Nah,
Oh, okay.
no. I'm not a big fan of James Bond.
Oh. Remember, they've had so many James Bonds anyways.
I know. How can you keep track of all of them?
I don't even remember who the first one was.
Roger Moore?
No, it was before him. There was one. I can't even remember. Sean Connery.
Oh, right.
I think there was even one before him too,
might
but
have
I'm not
been.
sure. And one of the later ones was Pierce Brosnan.
I think it's time that they give Gilbert Godfrey the smack at it.
I
would watch that James Bond movie.
Boy, that would be that. Boy, you'd have to do several hits of acid to get through that one.
I think they should do that. Poor guy.
Yeah.
What's he done in a long time? He got fired from being the Duck.
I don't know if he quit or they fired him. I'm not sure.
I think they fired him.
Hmm.
I don't remember. Anyway, I think he should be the next James Bond.
Think so?
Mm-hmm.
So, when it comes to with the bands like Delain, they're I don't know what you call them, a niche market.
Over here, probably. I bet in Europe it's not.
Yeah, it's very different over there.
Yeah.
You get the bigger festivals over there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that Nightwish is touring next year again, and I'm going to miss them again, but that's the way it goes.
You are.
Yeah. Delain's not on the bill with them. I don't even know who is on the bill with Nightwish, but all I can say is the times that I saw them, Delain was a perfect opening act for them. They were, they played well, they sang well, they were tight, they were punchy.
Yep.
And up in Quebec City, the sound system was so incredible. I can't say enough good things about it. Down in Florida, that was a different show. They had the bass drums way too heavy in that one. And when Nightwish came out, the mix was better. So that's up to your engineers and sometimes your equipment. But up in Quebec City, it was. If you can imagine this, you imagine a $10,000 stereo tuned up perfectly the way you want it, and that's what these two bands sounded like.
That's crazy.
That sounded that good. It was El Acoustic from France.
This frost formed its eye, and it's stained my tainted heart. Yeah, just lead me to my solitude. It's where I feel at home since that cold night when my love cried. Would you forgive it all? Would you give it all for me?
thing that so many engineers employ and groups use to make the headliner sound better is that they're just a little bit louder than the opening act. Have you ever noticed that?
I have noticed that, and on these two occasions, the first time they sounded all three bands sounded
same.
even. It was Delain, and then it was Sabaton, and then it was Nightwish, and they all sounded about the same.
Yeah.
And then in the second time, it was Delain, Sonata Arctica, and Nightwish. And Nightwish might have been a little bit louder, but the bass drums weren't as loud, so it didn't seem to be as loud. It sounded, to me, it sounded better. I just thought that the bass drums were too loud for the first two bands.
Could be. I've always wondered why they do that, though. A lot of shows that you go see, the opening act, sometimes there's two opening acts. And the only difference in the mix is that it's just lower. They just bring the decibel up just so the opening band seems that much big, or not the opening band, the headlining band seems that much bigger. And I never really understood that. We don't do that in the folk world.
No?
No.
Because you guys are too loud anyway.
We're too loud anyway. Well, you know, it's kind of funny, but most of the time when an engineer is doing my sound for me, they're amazed at how much they have to turn my guitar down.
Oh.
Because for an acoustic guitarist, I guess I play rather loud.
Oh, okay.
I don't notice it. It's just how I play, but...
You don't bring 10 Marshalls with you?
No, I usually just plug right in. Sometimes I have that Fishman.
Marshall Dillon?
Marshall Dillon. Marshall just came out with an acoustic amplifier.
Wow, you should get one.
I'm intrigued. I kind of want to try it.
Is it a 6-foot stack?
No, it's
No.
it's just that would be funny though. Wheel in this half stack acoustic amp. Watch out, world.
I think probably what happens is the headlining act is supposed to be the showpiece.
Right.
So they make it louder so you'll remember it more.
Yeah, I think that's why they do it. It's just kind of weird because I've seen groups that were better than the headlining act, like that Higher Ground. There was a show I went to that was a guy named Hugh Masterson, and then Anderson East and his band, and then the Lone Bellow. And Anderson East and his band were so much better. But the volume of the Lone Bellow was loud enough where I don't know how to explain it. You felt this wall of music that you didn't feel with the other two groups.
Right.
And had you had that with the second act, I think he would have overshadowed the first act. So maybe some groups need it. I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen that happen before too. With the opening act came out, and actually they outshined the headliner.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention who it was because, put it this way, one of these acts I don't like the person themselves, and the second act was lip syncing. So I'm not going to mention.
Yeah, that sucks.
So I'm not going to mention either one of them because, you know.
Yeah.
But the opening act wasn't as loud, and in my opinion, played
better.
They played much better. Oh yeah.
And it's tough to do because you don't usually have that much time as an opening act.
Right.
You know.
Usually your opening act only gets 6 to 8 songs.
Mm-hmm.
I know up in Quebec, Delain got 6 songs. I couldn't believe how short the set was.
Yeah.
And down in Florida, they got 8. Usually the opening act gets 8 songs. Also, up in Quebec City, Nightwish only got an hour. Down in Florida, they got close to an hour and a half.
Interesting.
Yeah. It must be one of those French-Canadian things.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe they had the timer backwards.
Yeah, they did. I like being the opening act because your night's over quicker.
Yeah.
You just come out and sing like 5-6 songs, and you're like, all right, see you guys after the show.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been to a couple of shows at the Lebanon Opera House, and they always have acoustic acts open up for these harder electric acts.
Yeah.
Why that is, I don't know.
Cheaper.
Could be. I know the second one, that's probably the case, because the second one I saw was Kenny Wayne Shepherd, and that opening act was some local guy from Windsor.
Yep.
The first one I saw was Steve Vai, and the opening act was somebody who had actually recorded, was a woman acoustic guitar player, and I guess she'd had several CDs or whatever. But that's, by the way, that's a good venue. And coming up in November, I'm going to go to the Flynn to see Joe Bonamassa.
Yeah.
That ought to be a good one also.
That'd be a really
Now,
good
if they could just get Delain to open up for them, that would,
one. For Joe Bonamassa?
yeah, that would be interesting.
It would be different.
Yeah.
Very different groups.
Yeah, it's. I would love to see bands like Delain, Nightwish, Epica, Zandria, Within Temptation. I'd love to see them play at the Flynn, but I doubt they would draw.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. What is the sin? The sin. What is the Flynn sit? What is this? What is the sin flit anyway?
Okay, just for all you sin flitters out there. Folks, that's the end of our show.
Yeah.
Things have
I've
deteriorated.
done the best I could.
You don't know what's in these cups, and we don't know either.
Nope.
I think it's this water. Something like that. Last I heard, they went from 1550 down to 1440.
Oh, that's
Because they
smaller
opened up-
than I thought.
They opened up areas for handicap. So that's what I was told. I've been to the Flynn. Oh gosh, saw Britt Floyd there, and I think I've been there once before also, but I don't. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what it was. It was closed circuit professional wrestling in 1988.
At the Flynn?
Yeah,
How'd they do that?
it was closed circuit TV. Well, it wasn't. It was you. In other words, instead of paying per view to see it on your TV, they had these movie houses.
Oh, okay.
This is way back in the 80s before they had pay-per-views.
Oh, okay. I was like, what, they put the ring on the stage? That's kind of weird.
You know, they had this great big TV
Okay.
on the stage, and
That's kind of neat, actually.
but at any rate,
The Flynn's a cool place to see a show because even if you're in the balcony, it's still a really good seat.
yeah,
I half the time opt for the balcony. If I can get front row balcony, I'll do that because then you don't have to worry about anybody's head in front of you.
yeah, I agree with that. And with bands like Delain and Nightwish and other bands like that, you probably one of the reasons they wouldn't play the Flynn is because most of their venues, the area in front of the stage, everyone's standing. And sometimes the place that they're going to be playing in Florida next year, there's no place to sit.
It's just, yeah.
Literally no place to sit unless you want to pay extra and go up into the balcony and have to buy a meal and buy this and this and this extra. I know that when we saw them in Quebec City, we were sitting right behind where everyone was standing, and we could hardly see anybody. We had to literally just about stand
Yeah.
up on our seats to be able to see over everybody else. I personally like front row balcony. My wife doesn't. She likes to be down where the action is. And I said, okay, you stand down there, and some guy 6'4" is going to stand in front of you, and she's all of 5 feet tall. you know.
Yeah.
So I'll take front row balcony any time.
That's the worst thing about going to country concerts. When somebody in front of you is wearing a cowboy hat.
Yes.
You can't see nothing. I hate that. I think they should be like, take your hats off, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the show.
Well, we saw a Queen tribute band in Florida at a really nice auditorium, Southwest Florida State University. It was a great venue. The acoustics in that place were incredible. The sound system was incredible. But of course, people wanted to stand up and dance a little bit.
Right.
And if you wanted to sit back down, the people in front of you were still standing. So,
Yeah, if you're in the front row, you can pretty much control the crowd. If you stand up, the whole theater will stand up behind you.
oh yeah, yeah, and like I said, with a lot of these concert venues that Delain goes to,
Yeah.
and bands like that, the whole front of the stage area is all standing anyway.
Yeah, it's like higher ground's the same.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, I haven't been there yet. I probably should one of these days.
I could see them doing higher ground. I don't know how many it sit. I mean, you could probably pack as many people in there as you can the Flynn.
Really?
But the only seats there's a few bar stools along the side, and then everybody's in front of the stage.
Yeah, I know that. Where it's in Metropolis, in Montreal, I think they've changed it around. But when I went up there to see Joe Satriani, the whole bottom floor there was no sitting. There were no seats on the bottom floor. Everything was standing.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I like to go to a show to kick back and relax.
I would too, especially at my age. I don't want to stand for 3 hours.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah, especially when you have to. If you don't get in there early, you're not going to get decent seating anyways. Most of these places that these bands play do not have assigned seats. Most of them.
Yep.
Most of them don't have assigned seats.
General admission.
Yeah, and when we went down to the Palladium in Worcester, we had to ask if we could get in early to get a seat because the whole bottom area, there were no seats at the Palladium. And by the way, I'm never going there again anyway because the sound system was so loud it felt like I was being crushed. And I was in the balcony.
Wow.
But you know, a lot of these places, they don't have any seats on the lower level. So essentially you're up in the balcony. Like in Florida, it was really funny. The balcony only had 2 rows.
Really?
Yeah, that was it, which was fine. We had a great vantage point. I thought it was great. And by
Sure.
the way, somebody did post that on YouTube, that concert, professionally shot and recorded too. And
Oh, yeah?
we've shot that. We've shown that here a couple of times.
Oh, I didn't realize that was from the show you went to.
Yeah, that was the exact show, which stunned me. I was amazed that somebody actually did that.
That's
Because
cool.
I didn't see any cameras there. They must have had a bunch of GoPros stuck here and there.
Probably.
Because and the sound was good. So I don't know how they did that. Maybe they took a tap. Well, they had a DigiDesign board.
Oh, yeah.
They
there you
probably
go.
just took a tap right off that. Correct?
Yep. Yeah, and they probably just mic the audience cheering, and
Yeah.
or just overdub cheers.
Hmm.
They overdub cheers from Queen live in Montreal.
Yeah. They couldn't help that they were playing "We Will Rock You."
Yeah, couldn't do it.
By the way, I have that DVD also.
Mm.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it is a very good one.
So, at any rate, probably the next time our new executive producer for this show, by the way, Tracy, tells us that we're going to be doing another
Right.
one. This DVD will be out. We'll probably be talking about it and showing some clips from it.
Yeah,
At least I hope so.
highlights.
Yeah, and you'll get to see the band, and they're not an overly flashy or showy band like Epica or Nightwish. They don't use 600 tracks. You know, however, I don't even know how many they use, but you can actually hear. There are times when Epica, for example, their newest one, the Holographic Principle, I think it gets too crowded. It sounds a little too crowded at times. You don't really
Yeah.
hear the instruments; you just hear the sound.
Yeah,
It just seems that they packed a little too much into it. It almost seems like Epica and Nightwish are in this arms race as to who can pack the most into an album. Because the
Probably.
two of them are making these albums that are like they're from another galaxy. It's like nothing that I've ever heard. I mean, it's like it's like concept albums,
yep.
but they're like Pink Floyd on steroids, if you can imagine. I mean, Pink Floyd made some great stuff. As a
Yeah,
matter of fact, in 2005, Nightwish's concert that they did in Finland, they did a Pink Floyd song.
Did they?
I wish I could remember the name of it.
That's awesome.
I can hear it in my head, but I can't remember which one. It was not a popular song. It's not one that you would recognize.
Right.
But they did. I said, "Hey, geez, I have, what album is this from?" And I found out it was a Pink Floyd song. But that's what some of these bands are doing. Epica isn't really doing that. They're sticking pretty much to straightforward hard rock with some symphony, and they
Some
don't go.
Sinatra covers.
Yeah, Sinatra covers, right. Celine Dion did a bunch of those when I saw her.
Saturday night is actually, it would be kind of funny to hear them do Sinatra and rock it up.
Well,
It'd be cool.
Funnier things have happened. For example, remember Blondie did a version of Ring of Fire from Johnny Cash.
Yep,
I mean, these things happen.
that's right. I like that idea.
Anthrax did a version of Sabbath Bloody Sabbath.
Did
Black
they?
Sabbath,
I
yeah.
haven't heard
And
that.
what was the other one? Remember that what was it, Howlin' Wolf song, Ain't Superstitious?
Mm-hmm.
That was later done by Jeff Beck and then by Megadeth.
Yep.
I mean, so, hey, who
Could be
knows?
done. I think we're on to something.
Yes.
Email them.
I will get right on that, boss. I'll get right on it. Any closing words before we release these poor people from their bondage and slavery to this stupid show?
I don't think so. Are we gonna play them a video on the way out, or?
As a matter of fact, I think I'll end it with the song that Delain seems to always play, the last song of their encore. It's called We Are the Others. That was the one that seemed to sort of launch their career, which is a very good song. It has a lot of social meaning to it. So I will dig that up. I have it somewhere in our archives, and I will definitely play that for you guys.
That sounds like a plan to me.
And this is Terry Difazio for Soundcheck, saying we'll catch you on the flip side. Have a good day. And special thanks to our engineer and now new executive producer. She didn't know she was the new executive producer of the show, but she is now.
How much money did she put down?
I'm going to have to ask.
The executive producer usually funds the show.
Yeah, well, this
The
show
coffee.
this show isn't worth much, so
I think we have to pay her.
yes, I think we should, I think we probably should for putting up with us.
Probably.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
Masters of Rock, we have one more song for all of you. This one is for all of you. This is We Are the Others. Who's in the hall? You guys go! I'm walking the soul tonight. She lives in the air that I breathe. I can't get it out of my mind. How you were left to bleed. And was it how you dressed or how you act? I can't believe how they